Hi guys, in previous tutorials you've already seen strings, the so-called single quoted strings to be specific. Strings are vitally important in programming. We use them to handle emails, passwords, comments, and basically any kind of text data. Today you're going to expand your knowledge of strings and get several steps closer to using them like a pro. Most importantly, you will learn about double quoted strings, which I dare to say is the best way of declaring strings in PHP. And also you will learn how to join multiple strings together and how to escape special characters. Now in PHP, there are 4 ways how you can declare a string using single quotes, double quotes, here doc syntax, and now doc syntax. Today, I'll cover single quoted strings and double quoted strings because on practice, you'll use them most of the time. And honestly, I think that at least for the first 3 years of your career, it's not worth investing your time into learning here doc and now doc strings at all. Also, when it comes to strings, there is a very important and often overlooked topic of character encodings and how PHP handles strings underneath the hood. But it's a bit more of an advanced topic and you'll need to learn a few more concepts before we can dive into the weeds with character encodings. So just to let you know, I'm planning to cover it, but a bit later in this course. Now I'm going to create a brand new script and name it strings.php, and I'll start this script with an opening.php tag. In the script, I'm going to define a variable and I'm going to call it the game I'm playing. At the moment, I'm playing in Pathfinder Kingmaker, so I'm going to store the title of that game as a string in our variable. But what exactly is a string? In PHP, a string is a collection of characters. Well, more precisely, it's a collection of bytes, but I'm going to leave this to the more advanced tutorial on strings. So in PHP, you can have virtually any character or symbol inside of a string. It could be letters from any language, digits, special characters, emojis, and the like. Now, in this string, the first character is P, but the thing is that we start counting strings in almost any language, not from 1, but from 0. So P is character number 0, A is character number 1, T is character number 2, and so forth. And together, these characters form a string. So basically, we could say that strings are kind of like text. And we also could have a string that has only one character, like this, or even a string containing no characters at all, a so-called empty string. So basically, strings have 2 main qualities: the characters they contain and the amount of those characters, or the length. For example, the length of this string is 0 because it contains 0 characters. This one length is 1, and here we have the length of 21. We can confirm that by using the var_dump function that you already know. I'm going to use var_dump 3 times because I have limited space here. So I'm going to write var_dump and then I'm going to copy paste it several times. And I'm going to put our strings into these var_dumps. Save. And to run the script, I'm going to use the same trick that I described in the previous lesson. So for that, I'm going to open the folder's URL in the browser and I'm going to hit the strings.php script. And here is our output. And just as we've discussed, this string has the length of 21. This one is 1 and this is an empty string, so its length is 0. Now let me remove these lines and I'm going to create a variable called message. And in this variable, I'm going to put yet another string and it's going to be the game I really like is. And I'm going to leave a space at the end of the string. And here is the semicolon. Now, what if I want to join these 2 strings together? The easiest way would be to use an operator for that. And it's called concatenation operator. Let's use it to join these 2 strings and then echo the result. For that, I'm going to write echo message. Then I'm going to use our concatenation operator, which is a dot. And then I'm going to put the game I'm playing and semicolon. So this concatenation operator works like a glue. It joins together 2 strings into one and then returns that bigger string, which is then being passed into the echo command. So if I run this script, you can see that this output is our joined string. And because the concatenation operator returns the final string, we then can pass it to the commands or we can assign it to a variable. So let me do that here. I'm going to cut this bit of code and then I'm going to create yet another variable and I'm going to call it comment and I'm going to assign the result of this concatenation to this comment variable. And now I'll pass that variable to the echo command. Save the script, refresh the page, and we still have the same result. Now I'm going to go ahead by removing this code. We can use concatenation operator to join as many strings strings as we want at once. Let me demonstrate you how to do this. And for that, I'm gonna define a variable and I'm gonna call it message. And now I'm gonna join multiple tiny strings into one big sentence. And it's gonna be have space, then concatenation operator, you space, and then concatenation operator again, watched, Loki. I'll collapse the sidebar to have a bit more space here. Space, concatenation operator, season 2. And now if I echo this message and run the script, you can see that we have one big sentence or question here as an output. So the way it works is PHP joins first these two strings together with the concatenation operator. And after that, we have a little bit bigger string here. Then again, PHP joins this bigger string with the watched string using the next concatenation operator. And after that, we have even bigger string here. And then PHP repeats the same process until it joins all the strings here. And at the end, it assigns the final big string to the message variable, which later we can use to our likes. We can also use this operator with variables. And to show you how to do that, first, I'm gonna remove the code and I'll create two variables. First name, which is gonna be spider, and last name, which is gonna be man. These are two very common properties to store when you're registering a user on a website. And often you wanna also have the third variable, which is gonna be full name, and it combines first name and last name. For that, I'll join first name with a string that has only white space, and then I'll join last name at the end. As you can see, we do the same exact thing when we wanna concatenate variables. And lastly, let me echo the results and refresh the script. Spider-Man, cool. And though this expression is fine, PHP can do better than this. So far, we've used the simplest way of creating strings with single quotes. And when we do that, PHP treats everything inside of these strings as just a plain text. Now, there's a more interesting and useful way of declaring strings in PHP using double quotes. Now, to show you how to use double quotes, I'm gonna create another variable and I'm gonna call it full name double quotes. And instead of putting single quotes, I just put there double quotes, which is now effectively an empty string and semicolon. So far, this creates just an empty string, nothing special. But this double quoted string has a very useful ability called string parsing, which means that I can literally put variables inside this string like this, and PHP will replace them with their actual values. And with this, the final string will be spider space man. And in the end, this string is going to be exactly the same as this string. But look how much nicer and cleaner this declaration is. To show you that they are exactly the same, I'm going to use the var dump function and I'll pass full name it and full name double quotes. And I'll also remove the echo line. And now let me run the script. Okay, we have Spider-Man with the length of 10 and the second string is Spider-Man 2 with the same exact length. I really like to use double quoted strings. I think it's a great feature because if you name your variables properly, it makes your code look almost like a story, pretty easy to follow and understand. Variable parsing is a main feature of double quoted strings. It has two syntaxes, a simple and complex. This is a simple syntax, which means that you put your variables as is, like this, inside of your double quoted strings. It's mostly used for embedding plain variables, like in this case with names, maybe some numbers, and so on. For complex syntax, we need to use curly braces to wrap around our variables, like this. It adds no special behavior here, just makes sure that PHP understands that this is a variable, which is helpful when you inject values from arrays and objects. We'll explore it more when we actually get to the topics of arrays and objects. Double quoted strings are also quite helpful when you want to use single quotes in your strings as a regular character without any escaping. So for example, I could write something like I'm Spider-Man and it will work totally fine. But if I had to do the same thing with single quoted strings, and let me show you, and I'll use single quoted strings here, and now I'll try to put I'm inside of this single quoted string, and immediately you can see that Visual Studio tells me that something's wrong happening here. And if I save the script and then try to run it, you can see this beautiful parse error, which tells that PHP is not expecting the character M here. So basically what happens here is this single quote inside of the string, which I want to use just a regular character, is not actually a regular character because it ends the string itself. And now to convert it to be a regular character, I need to add a backslash like this, which is also called character escaping, because what it effectively does, it tells PHP that, hey, you know what? Just treat this single quote as a regular character. It does not carry any special meaning. It's not used to define a string or the like. So now if I save this script, first of all, Visual Studio removed this error highlighting. And secondly, if I run this script, it works perfectly. So basically, character escaping is like downgrading or removing any special meaning or any privileges from the characters we're escaping. In double quoted strings, we don't have any issues here because single quotes, they don't have any special meaning here. And I can freely use single quotes here, which is quite convenient. But we have the opposite issue here. I cannot freely use double quotes inside of double quoted strings just as a regular character because it carries that special meaning of defining the beginning and the end of this string. And to convert this double quote to be treated like a regular character, I'll need to use the same character escaping technique that I used previously. So basically, I'd need to put a backslash here and then it should work just fine. But I can use double quotes without any escaping inside of single quoted strings because double quotes, they don't carry any special meaning in there. So basically the rule is use double quotes inside of single quoted strings as regular characters without any escaping, and use single quotes inside of double quoted strings without any escaping. Another useful feature of double quoted strings is that they allow us to use special characters. The most common ones that you'll probably use are the line feed and the carriage return. They are useful for the PHP scripts that you run from your terminal, and I'll show you how to use them when we get to develop our little game website project. Now, these were the main features of double quoted strings, and in the next video you will learn more about how to handle numbers in PHP, the difference between two data types for numbers, integers and floats, and also about the most helpful and frequently used operators to work with numbers. For instance, you'll learn about how to calculate the amount of gold or experience you have, or how to calculate the total price of the items a customer has in their cart. So see you in the next video.